Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us here at KAKM for Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. Got extreme fire danger out this evening for the north slopes of the eastern Alaska range for relative humidities down to 25%, south winds gusting to 30 miles per hour, especially through the passes west of the Toe Cutoff. That's out for this evening, and then as the winds diminish later then on toward midnight, conditions will improve and fire danger will only be high, but the forecast for tomorrow is still pretty extreme fire danger here again along the north slopes of the eastern Alaska range, as well as back in toward the Denali Park area here and then down over the Copper River Basin. Still some pretty dry areas there resulting in extreme fire danger, but the area of high now kind of shrinking here. Still extends up over the southern upper Yukon Valley, but some rain today up over the northeast interior, and then the cool and settled conditions back to the west, kind of shrinking this area down now, but it'll probably still remain this high through tomorrow. Moving on to the satellite imagery, got low pressure here in the Gulf of Alaska. That brought more rain up to the North Gulf Coast today. Cordova over toward Yakutat reporting rain, showers into Prince William Sound. Showers scattered around south central Alaska this afternoon along with some sunshine, and then a lot of moisture here streaming northeastward. Rain just about the entire stretch of the Panhandle this afternoon from Ketchikan and Annette up to Elfin Cove into Juneau. Sitka reporting rain, even some rain in the Petersburg Wrangell areas there. And back out to the west, upper level low here over near the Bering Strait coast with a trough here keeping showers and cool conditions in over the western coastline, the interior, but some partly sunny skies here over the Kobuk Valley southward a little bit there, and some sunshine also over the Tanana Valley today. Otherwise, some isolated thunderstorms developing just east of Ruby there, and also near Denali Park this afternoon. Otherwise, weather map here, had some sun scattered around, some clouds scattered around, some showers scattered around. Again, a little more continuous and cloudier here, Prince William Sound on the North Gulf Coast. And then here's the system of the warm front spreading the rain currently in over the southeast coast. Amounts up to about 1/3 of an inch at Juneau, Elfin Cove, and Sitka, picking about 1/4 of an inch in the last 24 hours, with 1 to 2 tenths having fallen over the southern southeast coast. Heavier precipitation moving in tonight and early tomorrow, and then as that whole system moves through the trough, it should become a little more showery and less continuous into tomorrow afternoon. But back to the west here today, here's that trough at the surface there, band of clouds with the upper level low back over the Bering Strait. So some showers there from the Noatak Valley areas down off to the southwest, kind of cloudy, cool conditions for the Seward Peninsula and Norton Sound. And a lot of clouds here out over the Bering Sea, and this front spreading rain into the western Aleutians. That'll slide eastward in across the Adak and Atka areas tonight, but winds not all that strong with that front, pretty weak, but some light rain, clouds, fog, probably some IFR flying conditions as well, again spreading eastward to about Atka Island. Better conditions here over the eastern Aleutians, and it looks like rain heaviest here over the southern and southeast part of the coastline. A little more showery, but probably occasional rain periods of there even for the northern southeast coast. Scattered showers here along the North Gulf Coast with this trough remaining off the coast there, so that'll continue to circulate moisture up to the north, but maybe some scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms this evening, possibly over the Talkeetna Mountains and the eastern interior here, with scattered showers back to the west. Not too bad up over the western north slope areas there, just variably cloudy skies. Light winds along the Arctic coast continue with some patchy areas of low clouds and fog again, especially on the east side there. General area of IFR developing along the eastern Arctic coast overnight tonight, much like you saw today. And this low center, the trough actually pulling back to the west a little bit there with the low center 1,003 millibars just southwest of Teller, and a weak trough extending southward from that. Keeps a chance of showers going along the Yukon Delta coast, maybe Nunivak Island, but basically the Bering Sea pretty benign with some light wind conditions over the Pribilofs, light winds also for the Alaska Peninsula, just an isolated shower or two here along the peninsula out toward the eastern Aleutians, patchy areas of low clouds and fog and occasional rain, as I mentioned there, for the central Aleutians. That spreads to the eastern Aleutians as this front elongates eastward and breaks up here over the western and central portions there. So the heaviest rain out there will probably be over the Fox Islands tomorrow, but the wind's not too bad, southeast 15 to 20, maybe gusts to 25 miles per hour. Should stay under small craft advisories there across all of the Aleutians as well as the Bering Sea. Up along the Arctic coast, again, the low clouds and fog giving way to clearing in the afternoon. The north slope looking pretty good. And over the interior, got a couple of troughs keeping it cloudy, mostly cloudy, cool, and showery over the interior. Isolated thunderstorms there over the Tanana Valley, maybe the eastern central Alaska Range area off into Canada, but just isolated scattered showers along the North Gulf Coast, a little more scattered than they were today here, with possibly some partial clearing as well up along the coastline into Prince William Sound. Partly to mostly sunny skies with some scattered isolated showers over the mountainous areas of south central Alaska. Look for some showers along the western Alaska Range, and then this trough here keeping it cloudy, cool, and unsettled over the west coast areas, especially the Seward Peninsula down to the Yukon Delta to about Nunivak Island. Nothing really heavy at all. And then rain gradually, eventually changing over to showers. The bulk of the moisture shifts over with this trough coming eastward there. So still pretty numerous showers, at least into the midday and early afternoon hours. But those should begin to become a little less continuous and more off and on in nature throughout the afternoon. And then this system down here will spread rain up across the central and eastern Aleutian areas tomorrow night. And eventually that front will move right up into the southwest coast on Monday with rain from Nunivak Island across the Kuskokwim Delta areas down into Bristol Bay. Look for rain definitely into Kodiak Island. Southeast winds, small craft advisory level winds up to about 30 knots there for Kodiak Island along the east side. And some light rain also possibly getting up as far north as the southern Kenai Peninsula. Showers a lot more hit and miss now along the North Gulf Coast, kind of drying out with high pressure building up over the eastern Pacific areas. Looks pretty dry, possibly, at least over the central and southern southeast coast. May go an entire day without seeing any precipitation, but still have some shower chances going on in the north. Interior, not much change at all. Still some scattered showers around with isolated thunderstorms, mostly over toward the upper Tanana Valley, 40-mile country off into the Yukon, excuse me, and also showers possibly over the Brooks Range. Arctic coast not looking too bad, kind of a general light offshore breeze there may improve conditions. Keep it VFR on the western side, marginal VFR to VFR on the eastern side. And then coming back around, a lot of rain here over the eastern Aleutians and showers back over toward Adak and Atka. Higher pressure drying it out there over the western Aleutians. And temperatures this afternoon across the southeast coast, mostly in the lower to mid-50s with all the clouds and rain going on down in that area. 52 at Ketchikan, 52 also at Petersburg and at the state capital there at Juneau. 52 with rain at Sitka. And 51 at Yakutat, 49 degrees Cordova, and only 50 at Valdez this afternoon. Anchorage up to 57, 56 there at Homer. And for Gulkana, Copper River Basin, highs in the upper 50s there, lower 60s for the eastern Tanana Valley, Northway at 62. Fairbanks, though, some sunshine up to 65 today. Cooler over toward Tanana at 60. And in the upper Yukon Valley, Fort Yukon at 63, 10 degrees cooler at Arctic Village. Again, more clouds and rain going on up in this general area. Back to 55 at Anatuvik on the Arctic coast, up above freezing from yesterday. 36 at Barrow, 47 at Aptusuk, and 34 degrees with some fog, especially early this morning there at Dead Horse. 37 at Point Lay, 39 at Kivalina, lower 40s here for the Noatak, Selawik Valley areas, Kotzebue 43, same thing at Deering, 41 degrees at Golovin with a cool 36 this afternoon at Nome, 31 at Tin City, back up to 36 so at Gamble with about a quarter of an inch of rain there in the last 24 hours. And back to the southwest, starting up here in the Kuskokwim Valley, McGrath had 54, 57 at Bethel, 53 there at King Salmon, upper 40s to lower 50s here along the Alaska Peninsula, except where the sun broke out there at Sand Point, 61 degrees this afternoon at 4 o'clock, lower to mid 40s over the Pribilofs, mid 40s for the eastern Aleutians, and lower to mid 40s out for the western and central areas. Lows for tonight, upper 20s to lower 30s back here over the Seward Peninsula and the northwest coast, otherwise in the 30s for the Arctic coast and North Slope areas. Mid to upper 40s here up over the northeast interior, otherwise upper 30s to lower 40s for south central Alaska, the Copper River Basin. That's where most of the 30s will occur there, otherwise lower to mid 40s for south central Alaska, and mostly in the 40s to maybe the lower 50s there over the southern southeast coast, otherwise mostly in the 40s out here over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians with cooler conditions up towards St. Lawrence Island. And for the highs tomorrow, upper 30s up in that area, otherwise mid 40s for the Pribilofs, mid to upper 40s here for the Aleutians, and into the 60s with some sunshine, 65 to 70 over the interior there. That's Fairbanks. Few degrees warmer than today with 68 the forecast high. Up along the Arctic coast, not too bad, generally rising into the 40s there out along the coastline, except for Kaktovik, stuck at 38 degrees. 35, still kind of cool here across the Chukchi Sea down into the Bering Strait with upper 30s forecast, but Nome should push up to 47 degrees with highs 50s to lower 60s over south central Alaska and highs mostly in the 50s with all the clouds, rain changing to showers there over the southeast coast. And for flying weather, with that front stretching eastward here, look for areas of IFR to advance from the central Aleutians tonight into the eastern areas tomorrow morning and into the afternoon. Marginal VFR here covering much of the Bering Sea, but look for some pretty good VFR forecast for Bristol Bay. This is the forecast for tomorrow afternoon. Marginal VFR up along the southwest coast to St. Lawrence Island, the western Seward Peninsula. Then starting out IFR along a good portion of the Arctic coast will become areas of marginal VFR on the east side as well as the western Arctic coast, and then some marginal VFR lingering into the afternoon over the Talkeetna Mountains and along the Alaska Range. But generally look for a VFR day here. It will be a VFR day for Cook Inlet, marginal VFR Prince William Sound in toward Passage Canal with marginal conditions back across the southeast coast improving to VFR during the late afternoon hours over the southern southeast coast, but there could be some areas of IFR still in the area there early in the morning, but that'll improve throughout the afternoon. And for passes Anatuvik, both Anatuvik and Adigan, VFR tomorrow on either approach. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR becoming VFR in the afternoon. Rainy, good VFR on east and western approaches. Windy, VFR. Isabel, VFR with an isolated thunderstorm. Isolated thunderstorms also possible from Tasta. Tanita, though, clear, or mostly clear. VFR conditions. Portage should be marginal VFR. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR as well. Freezing levels, colder here with that upper level low out over the northern Bering Sea areas, kind of pulling back to the west a little bit, so 4,000 feet here across the western interior, 6,000 feet over the east central interior. Of course, that's where the warmest temperatures will be tomorrow, and then still about 68,000 feet here, but that trough shifting eastward, so freezing levels, snow levels coming down a little bit across the southeast coast, and then some warming out over the western Aleutians. Icing threats below 12,000 feet, especially for the eastern Aleutians, less of a threat here back to the west along the chain, and then some hit and miss rime to mixed icing over the interior with the shower conditions, and then this area back to the west eventually by tomorrow afternoon should shift eastward over the southern southeast coast with more less of an icing possibility here of the light to isolated moderate rime mixed varieties up along the southeast panhandle. And upper level wind flow chart showing the main jet here south of the state, except where it comes northeastward there right into the panhandle. That's where the heaviest rain is going to occur over the next 24 hours. Otherwise, most of Alaska here, or all of Alaska, on the cold side of the jet stream, and that usually means conditions a little unsettled, showery, cool, and kind of mostly cloudy, which is about the way it's going to be for the next couple of days. And at 9,000 feet, pretty light winds here over southern Alaska, westerlies, southwest, the trough kicking through northwest 20 knots coming along the southeast coast. Otherwise, south winds generally there along the west coast 15 to 20 knots. Not too strong winds out here over the Aleutians, mostly east-southeast at about 15 to 20 knots, maybe up to 25 knots here at 3,000 feet over the far western Aleutians, but generally southwest and northeast, very light winds here, 5 to 15 knots over the interior, possibly up to 20 knots there for the Seward Peninsula areas. And as that trough swings through, winds become more west-northwest behind it into the southeast coast tomorrow afternoon. And with that, not much in the way of any significant turbulence expected, maybe some light to isolated moderate chop there over the eastern Arctic coast, northern panhandle with the southerly winds in northern Lynn Canal, and then here below 6,000 feet for the eastern Aleutians. Nothing in the central areas, and then maybe a little bumpy out toward the west. Otherwise, pretty smooth here through much of the interior from the Bering Sea all the way over into western Canada. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts. Welcome to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snider with the National Weather Service, and joining us today, two more people to talk about the augmented reality sandbox. It's Alana Valaji. She's a University of Alaska Fairbanks mechanical engineering student, helped design and work on the details to make this new type of sandbox there. Thanks for joining us, Alana. Thanks. And Courtney Breest, she's the outreach coordinator for AKwx, which is the experimental program to stimulate competitive research. It's a program funded nationally by the National Science Foundation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Alana, tell us about how you changed and adapted this version of the augmented reality sandbox. It's a really cool tool.
So Gina approached us with 3 goals for this new version of the sandbox. They wanted it to be compact in a light system that could travel around the state. They wanted it to be child-oriented, so we designed the sandbox to have 3 different levels.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. You can have younger children, you can have high school kids. I guess I should say high school teenagers.
Sure.
And then we also designed it to be more marketable, user-friendly, so that this could be seen eventually in classrooms all over the place, all over the state.
Okay. And you had a big hand in this, but this was a team approach, right?
Definitely. It was a really good experience for myself, for George Stevens, who we'll see later.
One of our hand models today. Yeah.
For 2 other members who aren't here today, Cody Klingman and Austin Hunt. And it was just a really good learning experience all around.
Very good. And this is something that is part of your learning experience as well, so you get to check a box in your education.
Yeah,
right?
it's a requirement for seniors of mechanical engineering at University of Alaska Fairbanks.
Very good, very good. Well, it is a wonderfully inquisitive tool, fun to play with, and I hope to get my hands in the sand here in just a little bit. But it's also part of a bigger program, something that we were talking about a moment ago, AKwx, and that's what Courtney is here to tell us more about. What is AKwx and why do you need a sandbox?
Well, AKwx, as you mentioned, is a national program. We're funded nationally, but we're actually located statewide. We're at UAF, we're at UAA, we're in Southeast at UAS. And she mentioned, you know, taking the sandbox as an educational tool, and that's where I'm an outreach coordinator for the South Central test case.
Okay.
Our focus is on the Kenai watershed, and we are really interested in using these tools like the sandbox to interact with the students down there and get them interested in STEM and also communicate the research findings that we've been having throughout the state.
Okay. And one of those, as George and Eric are kind of changing the contours for us there from UAF to maybe something that resembles a little bit of something more of the Kenai watershed, which is one of your focuses for the study, right? And specifically looking at some of the changes there and how that impacts people and also the salmon.
Yes, it is all of our research is social and environmental.
Okay.
So we have social scientists working hand in hand with our environmental scientists. One of the things we're studying is Upper Russian Lake, and we have a researcher taking sediment cores from that lake. So one of the things we're going to use the sandbox to communicate is how the landscape changed over a long period of time, thousands of years, going from glacier, covered by glacier ice, to being filled with water. And
that's what they're doing right now.
Exactly. So
live.
So they're moving
cool.
the water around. And then I think they've got some props over there, because we're also going to go a little bit more in depth and explain how the salmon got there.
Okay.
So using
and there's
these,
the salmon.
exactly. Oh, I think there's a few more.
Yeah, we like more salmon in Alaska, more salmon.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really taking the findings from our research grant and just trying to connect with the community and translate it in a really hands-on and exciting way so people can, you know, interact with us as much as possible.
Well, sure, that makes the learning and the science real and quite literally in your face rather than just some boring black and white paper that you have to read about. This is something that people can understand better because it's visual and they're touching and feeling and seeing these changes, right?
Yeah, and get them engaged. And then outreach is a huge component, and working with the younger students, and actually even, I mean, working with the UAF graduate and engineering students it's a huge part of our grant, and we really enjoy it.
Oh, it is wonderfully exciting. And so, Alana, you were telling us that this is built to travel.
Right.
And this is built to do more things than version 1. Where can this type of project go in Alaska? And what can it demonstrate?
I mean, we were hoping to eventually get to villages that were harder to reach, that you couldn't necessarily move a whole fixed instrument to, right? You need something that can pack up, fit in your truck bed. I mean, one of the most attractive parts of this project is that this was going to be something that was used past our graduation point. You know, this is going to be something that lives in the state for years.
Right, right. Well, it looks like you're well on your way with that. So what are, give me another example. What else can this show us? We've talked about the Kenai River watershed. What's the coolest thing that you've played in the sand with? What's your idea?
Well, I definitely enjoy the props, but we also like kind of building up a giant mound, and if you put some water behind it, you can make a little runway, I guess, and you know, demonstrate the effects of the hydrology by just putting up a dam and letting it all pour right down. And so that could, I think you mentioned it earlier, you could even demonstrate the effects of a tsunami.
Right.
Or something along those lines.
So it's not just topography, but it's also hydrology and coastal surge mapping and some of the coastal changes that we're seeing here in Alaska, and seeing what the smaller changes in the sandbox might do to kind of a real effect of a slosh or a push of water up on the coast. Tsunami inundation mapping, or even glacial dam release, as some has been demonstrated before. So wow, that's just an impressive thing. That it seems like the possibilities are nearly endless with this, and probably even more ideas that are popping up in your head too.
Yeah, as we speak.
Very cool. All right. Well, if folks want to get more information about AKwx, you guys are online. You're on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. AKwx, right? AKwx, Alaska AKwx, that is. And again, you guys are funded by the National Science Foundation, so more to come from that, and a longer-term study there. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. Congratulations on your hard work there. This is really fun. And for now, I'm meteorologist Dave Snider with this edition of Alaska Weather Facts, and I'm going to go play in the sandbox there. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back. Looking at the sea ice here, just a little bit now down over Kotzebue Sound left, and a patch there on the north coast of the Seward Peninsula, but kind of a pretty typical melt pattern going on here with Herald Shoal there. The shallower waters allowing the ice to hang around there a little longer, with the warmer currents coming up this way and that way, melting it out either side there. And that's going to continue here for the next several days. Continue to see ice in this area while it recedes back on either side. And then for the southeast coast tomorrow, southwest winds on the north coast at 15, northwest 20 down along the south coast, and then northern Lynn Canal, southerly winds increasing to 20 knots in the afternoon. Then those will increase considerably to 30 knots out of the south, with more gradient and higher pressure building over the southern areas and off the coast. Westerly winds there with a higher pressure to the west at 15 to 20 knots along the coastline there, with seas at about 5 feet. And for Prince William Sound, light west winds tomorrow, southwest for the North Gulf Coast at 10 knots, and then southwest up to 20 knots here for Kodiak Island, south 20 knots for Kamishak Bay, lighter winds up Cook Inlet. And then for Monday, southwest 15 for northern Cook Inlet. Small craft advisories here for the east side of Kodiak Island. Southeasterlies up to 30 knots. Southeast 20 to 25 knots there across the Barren Islands to Kamishak Bay. Southerly winds 15 to 20 knots for the North Gulf Coast, and those blowing on into Prince William Sound. Bristol Bay tomorrow, southwest at 10. Southerlies 15 to 20 knots across the peninsula, southwest 15, southwest of Kodiak Island. Then we've got some small craft advisories here for the water southwest of Kodiak Island, right up into Bristol Bay. Those southeasterlies at 25 knots, seas 5 to 8 feet. A little bit lighter, but still on the brisk side, about 20 knots there for the Alaska Peninsula. And out over the Aleutian southeasterlies or south-southeast, 15 to 20 knots for the Fox Islands tomorrow. East to northeast, 20 knots for the western and central Aleutians. And the outlook for Monday, north to northwest to 20 knots here for the central and western Aleutian areas. And then for the Fox Islands, got small craft advisories in some of those zones for south to southeast winds in the 20 to 25 knot range. Seas anywhere from 4 to as high as 11 feet. And for the southwest coast, southwest at 10 to 15 knots tomorrow. Light variable conditions here over the northern Bering Sea. Light winds for the Pribilofs and southwest at about 15 for St. Lawrence Island. And for Monday, south at 15 there for St. Lawrence Island. 15 to 20 knot east to southeast winds for the southwest coast. Staying light and variable here over the northern Bering Sea. East winds at about 15 for the Pribilofs. And for the Arctic coast, east winds at 10 on the west side. Lighter, more variable winds here, or light and variable winds on the western Arctic coast. And then for Monday, it looks like brisk wind, small craft advisories here, 25 to 30 knots there from Wales up to Cape Beaufort, and even the western Arctic coast under the small craft advisory level winds there. Southwest at 30 knots, southeast 15 on the east side. And for tonight again, rain, possibly heavy at times. Heaviest will be over the central and southern southeast coast. Still wet up to the north. Showers continuing along the North Gulf Coast and scattered showers over the interior with isolated thunderstorms this evening, mainly over the Alaska Range and the eastern interior there, but drier back to the northwest. Low clouds and fog forming up along the Arctic coast, and this rain spreading eastward to the central Aleutians tonight, and then a weak trough with some shower activity back out here to the west, and then rain slides into the eastern Aleutians tomorrow. Hit and miss areas of rain, fog, or drizzle back along the entire Aleutian chain. Day much like today over the interior with afternoon showers or scattered showers with afternoon isolated thunderstorm activity, and rain eventually changing to showers over the southeast coast. General drying trend starting sometime tomorrow afternoon that hopefully will continue into Monday with high pressure building along the southwest coast. But the next system, rain into Kodiak Island and those southeast winds at 30 knots, rain over the southwest coast, showers in the interior.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.